Geekazine's special coverage of HP Discover 2011 is brought to you by Iolo System Mechanic. Go over and use the code Geekazine for up to 50% off System Mechanic 10. And Wirecast. Produce all your video straight from your computer right to the internet with Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com and click on the link. Of course, Geekazine is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Prith Banerjee. I'm from Senior Vice President of Research and Director of HP Labs. Some of you may know, HP Labs is the central research arm for Hewlett-Packard. We are responsible for researching products and services that are 3, 5, 10 years into the future. And just wanted to provide some opening statements, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. First of all, we are very excited about our CEO presenting a new strategy for the company on March 14th, and some of you may have seen that, which recognizes that our professional lives and our personal lives are blurring, and essentially we are trying to leverage off cloud computing technology coming together with mobility, with all the social computing things together. And HP wants to be at the front and center of it all in terms of a seamless experience from the consumer world to the professional world, doing that in a very secure manner and doing it in a context-aware manner. Meaning, with all the information that are being thrown at us, it's very difficult to search for the relevant information. So we'll provide to our customers in a context-aware manner the most relevant information. So our vision is seamless, secure experiences for the connected world. Now, HP Labs, as the central research arm for Hewlett-Packard, we have been working on many of these technologies for the past the 4 years that I have been involved with. And so we have got an agenda at HP Labs which is very well aligned with Leo's strategy around cloud, around security, around information analytics, intelligent infrastructure, content delivery, and around services. So we feel very good about it. We feel that we can bring a lot of very creative innovation to our customers, both in the consumer world and the enterprise world. Happy to answer any questions. Yes?
How big is HP Lab in terms of people you have working on various things?
So we don't talk about the specific number, but it's a little less than 1,000 people. We have people around the world. Half our researchers are in Palo Alto, but we have presence in Bristol, England, in Haifa, Israel, Bangalore, Beijing, Singapore, and St. Petersburg, Russia. Yes, sir.
Has the size of the organization changed in the last couple of years, and has it gotten larger? Could you give us a sense of what sort of growth, if any, you're seeing?
So the size of the organization is related to the budget of the organization, and this particular year the budget of HP Labs has grown, but we actually don't discuss amounts, but it has grown significantly. And so we have added several heads to HP Labs around the world this particular year.
Did I understand, if I understand you correctly, you say Leo came out with a new strategy of melding consumer and business. Did that necessitate a re-strategizing at HP Labs, or was this something you guys had foreseen and just sort of kicked into high gear?
So this is something we had been working on. So when Leo came on board and he was creating a strategy for the company, HP Labs, we were very much part of the strategy because it was driven by Shane Robison, our Chief Strategy and Technology Officer. I report to Shane. So Shane asked us from HP Labs, his people in the CTO office, to work with the various businesses on the strategy. So HP Labs research agenda was very much part of HP's future strategy. We have not done any realignment to HP strategies. The research areas that we are working on at Labs are part and parcel of the new HP.
So your research agenda, you said is 5 years out.
5 to 10 years out.
10 years out. And so his strategy obviously is new. So that means, so his strategy obviously then must be informed by HP Labs.
Absolutely.
Because you're not shifting your 10-year strategy because today's CEO.
So let me tell you how we do our research at HP Labs. At HP Labs, we work on 7 themes of research, and I'm going to talk about that in tomorrow's presentation. Within those 8 themes, we have about 20 what we call high impact research projects. And so these research projects, we use a portfolio approach where 1/3 of our research projects are very basic, very fundamental, and we are looking 5, 10, 15 years into the future. 1/3 of our research is tied to HP's current products, and so they are looking 6 months to 18 months into the future by design. And 1/3 of our research is what we call applied research, somewhere in the middle, tied to some applications, not necessarily to a product, and that's like 2 to 4 years into the future. Now, this was a strategy that HP Labs had embraced about 4 years ago when I joined HP Labs. HP Labs went through a very significant strategic transformation. And so, if we were working on it 4 years ago, you would see some of the results of the research already coming to fruition, right? So we started at T-4, and so some of the research that we were doing, that we started 4 years ago, are now going to be part of Leo's bringing to market around the cloud. There was nothing around the cloud 4 years ago. We did work on the cloud at HP Labs, and as you know, Leo is announcing a set of services, cloud services, public cloud, and so on. Many of the IP is actually coming out of HP Labs. Yes.
So where can we expect Memristor technology to deliver something useful?
Let me repeat the question. When can we expect the Memristor technology to deliver something useful? Memristor research was one of those 1/3 very basic fundamental research that we had started some years ago at Labs. We view that as a complete disruption. Those of you who are not aware of it, it's a form of non-volatile memory, which on your computers you have sort of DRAM chips that store your memory, can be randomly accessible, but if you turn off the power, the memory contents are lost. With Memristors, it's a form of resistive, non-volatile memory. You can actually access it almost as fast as DRAMs, but it's non-volatile, so it's like disk storage, except it is much faster. So we have been doing this research at Labs for some time. Last year when we talked about it, we were excited about the technology, but there were some issues about endurance. How many times can you cycle the thing on and off before the thing dies? And so in the industry, they say you need to be able to cycle it somewhere between 10 to the power 9 to 10 to the power 11. Last year we are at 10 to the power 5, which clearly was interesting technology, but would not be very reliable. This year we have hit that milestone. We are at 10 to the power 9. We are working with a memory manufacturer. We are partnering with Hynix to transfer the Memristor technology to Hynix, because HP is not in the memory manufacturing business. We buy memory products from memory manufacturers. So our approach is to transfer the technology to Hynix once it is productized in a few years, and it's not 5 years, it is a few years, so it's 1-2 kind of years, and we will be able to see that. So we are personally very excited about the Memristor technology being used in HP products very soon.
As a follow-up to that, do you see that having an enterprise kind of applicability, or is it going to be more of a consumer technology?
It will have applications in both consumers and in the enterprise. So let me talk about the enterprise first. One of the research projects that are going on at HP Labs is on what we call the next generation data center. It's sort of a data-centric data center. We'll talk about it in tomorrow's presentation. But we are looking at sort of HP's server products today, sort of the integration of the Superdomes and the Blade servers and so on and so forth. And there is a path that the product groups are on, but we are looking beyond those architectures. So today's computer architectures have a processor, they have a level 1 cache, level 2 cache, DRAM, storage, and so on and so forth. And you're talking of maybe tens of thousands of processors and maybe a few gigabytes, hundreds of gigabytes of memory. The architecture we are researching at labs is a technology called NanoStore, and I invite you to look at the January issue of the IEEE Computer Magazine where we talk about it. It is essentially saying a large number of low power processors that are physically very close to these permanent memories like the Memristors, non-volatile memory, which are persistent. So you don't need a level 1 cache, you don't need a level 2 cache, you don't need DRAMs, anything. And you have processors close to memories, and you have up to a petabyte of persistent memory, and these processors and memories are going to be connected together through optical interconnect. So that is a vision, that's NanoStore. That is a way enterprise data centers will be changed in 5 to 10 years. In a consumer setting, I see many of you are using tablets. These tablets have some form of, they have DRAMs, they have memories in them, flash memories in them. They use certain form of devices, displays. We are working on at labs on this mobile and immersive experience lab. So the future of this device in terms of what kind of interfaces will it have, what kind of displays will it have, what kind of processing will it have, and what kind of storage. The Memristor is part of that as well.
Related to professional services delivery in the future?
We have
Reducing the IT failure rates?
So we do research we have of the 8 themes of research, one of the research themes is that of services, and we have a set of research projects that are done at the labs. One of them is called technology-enabled services, and we are actually working with our technology services organization and our enterprise services organization as to how we can do services better. And let me give you an example. So let's first look at an enterprise services example. When typically you are trying to bid for a contract for, say, IT outsourcing or application modernization, you look at this thing and you say, well, this is a kind of a thing that is in the transportation area, and we have done that before, but when you are trying to bid that contract, we essentially start from scratch, and that makes our sort of the delivery organization, this mismatch with the people who are actually sourcing the services contracts. We believe that we can use a lot of the social media tools, technologies to provide a much better impedance mismatch. So as soon as you're trying to engage with the customer, here is a deal that we would like to do an RFP, respond to the RFP. Oh, guys, didn't we do a similar thing before? And so on. So using the social media technology, and I know you're all really using social media technologies here, trying to leverage that within an enterprise and providing a much more accurate way of exactly what can we deliver. Now you have, in the area of technology services, we see, say, failure rates in servers and so on. Now there are these very deep technologists and field application engineers who really know, just looking at their red light, oh, that's that server gone wrong, right? But these things reside in some very islands of experts in the organization. Again, through social media technology, we are planning to expand that, amplify that, share it with the 170,000 people who work in services so that we can do much better services, including repairs.
Yes. Obviously, we've seen a lot of the move towards the cloud and so on and things like that. A lot of spread of technology outside the data center. So with that in mind, can you give us an idea of how much you spend on security and what sort of things you're working on?
So we cannot give you the exact number, but I can give you some general guidance. I mean, we have 8 things, but we have 7 labs. And the labs are on print and content delivery, mobile immersive experiences, cloud and security, information analytics, intelligent infrastructure, services and networking. That's 7 labs. It's approximately equal, not quite, but ballpark. So in the sort of cloud and security area, if you look at the software part, that is about, I would say, about 1/7 the work that we do at labs. But the cloud work, there is also the plumbing that goes into the cloud, which is the networking, the server storage, and that's part of the intelligent infrastructure lab. So if you add it up together, it's about 3 times 1/7, which is 3/7.
I have to head you to your next meeting soon. So if maybe one last question.
All right. So after the 3Com purchase, so on the networking side, were you able to absorb the engineering resource from 3Com? Is that part of the increase in the HP labs? Did you absorb all those, smart people that build that stuff into your actual organization now? Or?
So the question is, after the 3Com acquisition, have you been able to absorb any of the engineering people into HP Labs? That's not how we work. What we do is within HP Labs, we do research that is forward-looking, and we recruit our own talent, and we are constantly recruiting talent. One of the things that we did is in response to the fact that HP acquired EDS, which is a services organization, 3Com, H3C, which is networking, and our new emphasis around analytics, the vertical acquisition and so on, we have actually increased resources. There was a question around, did we increase R&D? The increased resources have been in these three areas: services, networking, and information analytics. The networking lab is, so we have these sort of thematic labs, but then we have the geographic regions as well. Our HP labs in China, in Beijing, is part of the networking lab. And that is for a reason, because the 3Com engineering team happens to be in China. And so the HP labs in China, those researchers are working very close, hand in hand with the H3C researchers in China. Well, thank you very much for your interest, and have a wonderful conference.